What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a new edition of the HBCU Sports Live Podcast. Of course, I am flying solo today. If you don't know who I am, for the record, I'm Chris Stevens, a contributing writer who's been here since March of last year, and very much enjoying being here and talking HBCU sports with you guys. Let me get the comments section open just in case some folks want to pop through and talk shop with us. And today we are going to talk about the big news of the day, which of course is the resignation of Florida A&M President Dr. Larry Robinson. But before we get into those details, I want to remind you guys that 2 Saturdays from tomorrow, that's right, July 27th, the first ever, the inaugural. Remember, there's no such thing as first annual, people. It is inaugural. Let's make that clear. The inaugural HBCU Sports Awards takes place Saturday, July 27th. We will get you guys the time and all the particulars. And actually, at some point this weekend, of course, this is Friday afternoon. It'll either be tomorrow, Saturday, or Sunday at some point during the day. We are going to do a live show where we announce all the nominees. We have had an intensive process. Give 6 nominees for 46 categories. So that is 276 individuals. That's a lot of people, but we were up to the task. Our nominees are in. We're very much looking forward to sharing the nominees with you guys this weekend. But again, the award show is July 27th. It'll be live streamed. We're going to be wearing tuxedos and suits. We're going to go all out. We're very much excited to bring this to you guys. If you would like to donate, have your name on the first ever HBCU Sports donor wall, and you can join us backstage for, behind the scenes stuff. You can go to hbcusportsawards.com and drop a donation. It can be $2, it can be $20, or if you're a big timer, $200 to $2,000. We'll take it either way. So thank you all for tuning in today. Greatly appreciate your time as always. And let's get started. So this morning, we were notified in our group chat, our HBCU Sports group chat, that there would be a leadership change at Florida Agricultural and Mechanical University. Now, when you think of a change, administrative change, a change of power, you're thinking something a little less down the chain, because I mean, even though I've been following this FAMU story from the get, I've just generally been shocked at how little, I guess, accountability is there for anybody in that particular program. So that being said, we are, Ken, you coming on? Oh, no, sorry. The boss man is tuning in. He's watching me, and I appreciate him checking in. So once again, if you all are ready to, once again, just to go back to the top, HBC, what is the date of the nomination selectees? Well, we're going to announce the actual award winners when the award show goes. Shouts out to Ellis for joining us today. The award nominee, we're just going to announce the nominees on either Saturday or Sunday of this weekend. Saturday, which would be July 13th, Sunday, which would be July 14th. Either way, you will know when we go live that particular day that this is the day that we are going to announce our nominees. So, okay, back to the story at hand. Dr. Larry Robinson, he we were shocked. Because I said when it came to our group chat that there would be a change at the top of Florida A&M, I'm thinking, geez, are they really trying to oust the athletic director? Like, wow. But no, it was Dr. Robinson. Florida A&M released a statement around 9 or so in the morning that Dr. Robinson had tendered his resignation, that he was stepping down. He had written a letter to the board of trustees thanking them for their time and how proud he was to serve as Florida A&M president for the past 7 years. And he will return to his tenured position as a distinguished professor in the Florida A&M School of Environment. So he's not literally just leaving Florida A&M as a whole. He's just leaving the position of president. And he ended up writing a letter later on in the day saying how grateful he was for all the support, all the feedback, how proud he was to serve as president of Florida A&M, and how the future of this great institution is bright. And there's no denying that Florida A&M has been on top of their game for a while now. I mean, they're one of the top. I mean, they were the top HBCU, public HBCU in U.S. News and World Report for the last 5 years. So you don't get there by just, fooling around. I mean, Florida A&M has done some really good things, and it's very disheartening that we all know what this is about. We all know what the actual nuts and bolts behind the shakedown of Dr. Robinson's resignation comes from. And it is ghastly to think that a dude who literally looks like he could be a bit extra on power. Like he would be one of the dudes that sacks and then would try to get to trip up Ghost or Tommy or even Tariq, and he ends up getting whacked before they can even, put everything in motion. So when you get fooled by a guy like that, and he literally changes the balance of power of one of the most prominent black colleges in this country, it's a shock. And I think that's probably what ended up sealing Dr. Robinson's fate in that regard was the Board of Trustees meeting when he said, I wanted it to be true. Now, as the head of an institution, the head of a university, you can't get by on just hoping and wishing. You shouldn't believe that somebody has $237 million until they can put $237 million figuratively or literally in your hand. I wouldn't expect y'all to believe me if I told y'all I had $237 million for you. And you shouldn't, because I'm getting by with $237 at this point in time. But you literally, as the institution's president, you have to be cognizant of all things at all times. And nothing about Gregory Jeremy or Jeremy or however you want to pronounce his last name screamed money. And I mean, I get it. Not a lot of people that are rich scream money, but at the same time, the signs were there. This was a guy who had been rebuffed by Coastal Carolina, Spelman, Miles College. Like, there's 3 schools that have said nothing about this guy checks out. And he tried to blame he tried to play the race card with Coastal Carolina, which is plausible because I mean it is South Carolina after all. And I've been through South Carolina before. Ate at a Cracker Barrel on an HBCU tour when I was 16 in Greenville. Never have I been more afraid for my life than in a Cracker Barrel in Greenville, South Carolina. But that's another story for another day. But I mean, yeah, so maybe he could have played the race card with Coastal Carolina and maybe saying that Spelman and Miles just weren't ready to receive his gifts or whatever. But let's be clear. $237 million has a certain look and a certain attitude and a certain air about it. Nothing about Gregory Jeremy or Jeremy said that he had 237 cents. And Dr. Robinson, against all his better judgment and against and against probably the Board of Trustees, the Board of Trustees didn't even know about this guy until the day of the graduation, where this dude casually just walks up on stage and gives a speech and says, I'm donating $237 million to Florida A&M. Somebody somewhere there had to be a red flag. There had to be a light going off over the top of the head. There had to be some sirens going off, some kind of alarms that says, if he's the biggest hemp producer in Texas, then why haven't we heard about him? Because it's not like weed or marijuana or anything based on that is a very big secret anymore. I mean, there are states now that literally are opening dispensaries daily. So it's not like this dude could literally hide behind the shadows. It's not like he could be like Nicky Barnes on the cover of Rolling Stones and New York Times Magazine, Mr. Untouchable or whatever. Like marijuana based things now is not an open secret, because I know a lot of people who are really, cool with saying, I'm just going to go home and pop me an edible and be done for the day. And it's like, we have changed. Society has changed. So, I mean, as a hemp farmer, because hemp originates from a marijuana plant, if you weren't familiar, people would know about it. If this dude was the largest hemp farmer in Texas, like, somebody would have been done a story on him. And nothing about him, his farm, his trust. Even the lady who he branded as co-CEO said, don't put my name in that mess. And when somebody literally just hops out the blue and says, my name Bennett and I ain't in it, that's a hot red flag. That's not a general red flag, not like the red that you see on the screen for the HBCU Sports Live. Like, this is a bright red, a hello, look at me, I'm scamming you guys type of red. And for that to do so much to Florida A&M, like Shantae Friday Stroud, God bless her. I mean, that woman took the bullet first. I mean, and I sat in a couple of those Board of Trustees meetings. Like, they were literally coming at her neck Dr. Robinson's neck, chairperson Kristen Harper's neck. Like, it literally was a free-for-all, Jack. And I felt bad for those people, but at the same time, you literally have to dot all your I's and cross your T's when you're dealing with money at a public institution, especially an amount that is allegedly the largest to ever been donated to an HBCU, that which we know now is false. So if you have any comments or thoughts on that, I want you guys to weigh in. The chat is open. I've answered one question already. If you missed that one, Ellis Connor asked me about the HBCU Sports Awards, the date of nomination selectees. We will announce nominations either Saturday, July 13th or Sunday, July 14th. You guys will know. Once again, the first ever HBCU Sports Awards, the inaugural HBCU Sports Awards, Saturday, July 27th. We have 46 awards to hand out, and we're all going to put on suits and ties and everything, which reminds me, I got to find a suit jacket because I have not worn a suit jacket in God knows how long. See, when you work from home, you kind of forget about your business wardrobe. As you can see, I have on a Herbie Hancock Headhunter shirt. That's how I get down on a daily basis. I don't dress up very much, but I'm going to do so for the HBCU Sports Awards. It's going to be a good time. We're going to honor the best and brightest in Black college sports. So if you have not donated yet and you would like to, there's still plenty of time. You can go to hbcusportsawards.com and pick a donation tier, or, just give what you can give. Like I said, it could be $2, it could be $20, it could be $200, it could be $1,000, it could be $200,000 if you're feeling froggy, because we love to give you guys the latest and greatest in Black college sports, and it takes money to do that. So if you guys are willing to donate to the cause, we are more than welcome to. You're more than welcome to do so, and we are more than willing to use that to give you guys the great HBCU sports coverage that we have been giving you all. Okay, so the other part of the equation after Dr. Robinson's resignation today is who takes over as president. And from the athletic perspective, it is the elephant in the room, and we have to discuss it. Does this mean a change in the future? I guess at this point, the employment of athletic director Tiffany Dawn Sykes. Shouts out to Deep House Nation. He said he's donating $247 million to the HBCU Sports Awards. Hey, well, if you got $247 million, that's cool. But if not, we are more than welcome to. Whatever you have, we are more than welcome to accept that donation. And joining me now on the broadcast is the man of the hour, too sweet to be sour, Grambling State's finest. Let me put my earphones in so I can hear him. Actually.
This is live.
God, the boss man. So, Ken, how are you today, sir?
Don't ask. It's the last thing I needed was for FAMU to drop this bomb, and man, with everything else we got with the awards, this announcement. Oh man, you already know what I'm going through right now, and so now we got more FAMU news. So
yeah, it's a lot of news. And Ellis has a question in the chat. I think that you can answer.
What's that?
Let me put it up on the screen here.
Do you have options to donate? Do you have options to donate such as Cash App, Zelle? Yes. If you go to HBC Sports Awards right now, you will see there is a link to donate. There is a Zelle option to donate, as well as the option to donate via PayPal. And it will be greatly appreciated. We are making progress. We appreciate all of those who donated. And brother, believe me, we could use money because coins are adding up. Just put it like this. Yeah, but yes. Look, man, we're trying to do something. Like I said, man, it's historic. We hadn't done it before, but it's been a lot of work. And Lord knows I've been putting it on Chris, and he was like, "Look, man." We'll have to provide a special show to talk about the stuff we had to deal with this. So anyway, yes, there is a Zelle option and there is a PayPal option to donate. So by all means, man, if you want to donate, we greatly appreciate it. So back to the news.
Yes. And yes. So yes, back to the news. As I was saying, when Ken came on, there's a part two to this equation. Obviously, the resignation of Dr. Robinson is the one that's going to take the most precedent, but now it's a where do we go from here situation with Florida A&M. Like, what do you like? I'll ask you, Ken, because You were the one that broke the news in the chat this morning. Where do you think Florida A&M goes as far as a replacement for Dr. Robinson, number one? And number two, do you feel like this has an effect on the future of AD Tiffany Dawn Sykes?
Well, I mean, it's a fair question, but I think we all know where this resignation, or what the impetus of this resignation is from. You know, this is all from that 9-figure donation that wasn't a 9-figure donation. And for all that folks are trying to make this some way somehow connected to Tiffany Dawn Sykes, I don't see it. I really don't. There are so many layers between AD Sykes and the people who were involved in that 9-figure donation that wasn't a donation. I just don't see how there is a connection with respect to the new president. I don't see it. So no, I don't think this will have any impact. FAMU needs to focus first and foremost on who they are going to pick to lead that university. How long was Larry Robinson there?
7 years.
7 years. I mean, okay. You know, I think I read somewhere, you know, we've seen people come and go from other HBCUs and come and go within a 7-year period. So no, I think first and foremost, FAMU just simply needs to be focused on trying to find the right person to lead the institution into you know, and going into the future. I don't see how this could possibly have any kind of connection with Tiffany Dawn Sykes, as much as people would like to think. I just don't see it.
Yeah, I've seen people suggest that on social media, and everybody that's tuned into this particular podcast knows that I have been one of her staunchest defenders, because I feel like she does a great job. Like she's been a college sports professional more than half her life, and I don't think that she would ever jeopardize her institution and, you know, whatever she's, you know, trying to accomplish as the athletic director for her own benefit. Like, I feel like she went to Florida A&M with the objective to be great and make that institution great. And by all means, she's done that. I mean, they've already won a Celebration Bowl. Their APR has been the highest that it's been in years. And that was a mess, because remember when she first came on board, the Florida A&M football team went to North Carolina, not North Carolina A&T, not North Carolina Central, but North Carolina Chapel Hill,
right,
without a full team, because, you know, they couldn't get cleared in time. So she did yeoman's work to get those folks cleared. And people were upset about the football coach situation after Willie Simmons left for Duke, and Florida A&M wanted their guy. They got their guy in James Colsey. And when we broke the news about Patrick Curry II's contract being held up, we if you may remember that live, Ken shared a news report from a gentleman with a very Spanish name that I can't remember at this point, but I know he announced that name proudly. But I know that he mentioned, I mean, he showed a clip of the Board of Trustees meet where they were,
right,
you know, talking about
the video report. Yeah.
And AD Sykes, very, I don't know if distraught is the term to use, or stressed out, but it was clear that this has been wearing on that woman. And granted, the job, you knew the job was dangerous when you took it. I mean, that's something I say all the time, you know, in reference to the old Super Chicken cartoon. You know, whatever job you take in that regard, it's just going to be some stuff that comes with it. It doesn't matter if you're a sports reporter like Chris Stevens and Ken Rashad, or if you're an athletic director like Tiffany Dawn Sykes. There's always going to be something about your job on a daily basis that is just going to mess with you. And right. It's just unfortunate that people have just gone out of their way to, you know, undercut this woman when she's had nothing but the best interest of Florida A&M at heart. And I agree with you. I don't think it does, but you never can tell, because that Florida A&M fan base and their stakeholders, and I'm the one that hates using that word and I just used it, but they are very overzealous in how they see their institution. I mean, I get it. Florida A&M is one of those, it's one of the Black Ivies, because you've got Howard, you've got Hampton, you've got Spelman and Morehouse, and you got to add Florida A&M in there. You got to add Grambling, and Tennessee State and schools like that. But Florida A&M is definitely one of the first 5 or 10 HBCUs you think of when somebody says HBCU.
Yeah.
And for for them to be as protective as they are, I get it. But at the same time, let the woman do her job.
Well, so you've heard me say this before, not only about the AD position, but in various positions related to athletics all the time, and even with respect to journalism, because I'm one who believes that you are well within your right to be critical of what we do, or what ADs do, or what conference commissioners do, or athletic directors do, presidents do. The only thing that I've ever asked is that, okay, criticism comes with the job, but if you're going to be critical, at least know what the job involves. Yes. And I hear sometimes people criticizing the commissioner for doing this or doing this or doing that and doing that. And then they come up with this strange narrative that has absolutely nothing to do with the job or the role of commissioner, or has absolutely nothing to do with the job or the role of an athletic director or president, or whatever the case may be. But more specifically towards athletic directors and commissioners. But in the case of AD Sykes, or any athletic director for that reason, you are well within your right to be critical of how they do their jobs. I get it, but just know what the job entails. And I think more often than not, a lot of people just don't know. And I get it. You have a basic understanding of what the role entails, but it's like when they get on me about things that I may have said, or an opinion I may have made on a particular topic, or you guys in general, and people will say, well, what kind of journalist are you? I'm like, you can't ask that question if you don't know what journalism is.
Hello.
I'm well within my right to say whatever it was that I said, or report whatever it was that I reported. Now, granted, if I'm wrong, you call me out on it. Yes, I need to be held accountable for what I say. But I'm just saying, man, the first inclination of anything that goes wrong, the first thing we want to do is fire somebody, and it doesn't work that way. It just doesn't. So that really just kind of that really pisses me off. It does when something comes up. And again, now if they're wrong, they're wrong. But when you just come up with all of these type of off the cuff scenarios and so forth, and it has absolutely nothing to do with the situation at hand, or even the role of that particular individual, it's gotten to the point to where I just simply ignore it. I do.
Yeah, and it's probably for the best that not everybody can follow that though. And I get that, people are going to be critical, because I'll never forget one of my favorite lines that I'm going to sanitize for this podcast is from House Party 3. When Uncle Vester, played by the late Bernie Mac, is talking to a Chris Reed kid. And he's like, you can't go out your way to please people, because, I was dating, Bernie said I was dating a girl, and he went to see her dad. It was like, it's nice outside. He's like, you can't say that. It might rain. And he said, that's a nice tie you have. And he's like, right. Well, that's not a nice tie. My wife tried to choke me with it. And so, I mean, just to keep it like that, I mean, people are just going to, say crazy stuff because it's in their nature, and it has very little to do with you and your job. Then it's just people just wanting to be seen and heard. And that's frustrating, especially for those of us in journalism, because we are watching right now, a guy that once called the free press fake news is now using the media to his advantage to try to get the presidential incumbent to step aside. Because that's really all this is. The media is so scared, the mainstream media is so scared to death to lose favor with that guy that they are willing to throw democracy into peril. Basically, that's my one political statement for this podcast. But overall, just the point I'm trying to make here is, yes, as Ken said, you cannot govern yourself by how everybody else sees you, because you're just going to be trying to please people all your life, and that is just not going to work. And that goes for an athletic director, that goes for a president, but accountability is still a thing. And like I said at the outset, I feel like Dr. Robinson's fate was sealed when he said he wanted the donation to be true. Yeah. You can't want, you have to be clear that this guy has $237 million. And as I said at the outset, he didn't even look like he got 237 cents.
Yeah.
So and I give him credit for taking accountability and taking the heat off of Dr. Friday Stroud, Chair Harper, because as the president, Truman said it the best: the buck stops here, and the buck stopped at Larry Robinson. Like if you see a guy that, again, there's just nothing about this dude that screams money, and not everybody, not everybody, walks around, with the appearance of money. Bill Gates looks like a dude who I literally would be in front of me at my favorite cheesesteak place on a Saturday. It's like,
yeah, but and to add to that though is what makes this even more disappointing is he had the resources to make it. You had the board members that you didn't even bother to contact, the foundation board, who are more than qualified to vet this guy. They know the red flags. They know all the warning signs to look out for. All you got to do is just look at that list of individuals, attorneys, venture capitalists. They know money. And for you not to even bother to utilize the foundation board to vet this guy, just okay. This may sound like a hot take, and I don't mean this, but the fact that how did you become president? Seriously. Seriously. I have no idea how to run a 4-year college institution of higher learning. I have no experience on it whatsoever. But I think I have it within me, or I think I would have the wherewithal to know that if someone approaches me with a 9-figure donation or possibility of a 9-figure donation, there's no way in hell I'm going to try to take that on by myself. I'm not.
No.
There's even a part of me that would say, look, I ain't trying to touch this. Y'all let me know if this is right. I don't need credit for it. If it goes through, good, but I'm just saying. He would have probably gotten credit for, oh, great job, Dr. Robinson. He found him. This is the man that got us a 9-figure donation. But instead, he's the man that gave us a 9-figure donation that wasn't a 9-figure donation. How did you become president? And I don't say that to be insulting. I don't say that to be demeaning. But I think it's a legitimate question.
It is a fair question because they forced Dr. Elmira Mangum out. It was like, and that woman is one of the most brilliant educators that in HBCU space and probably all of higher institutional learning, period. And they shoved that woman out the door. Like she was so ticked off. She said, I don't even want to serve the rest of this contract. She did her best Johnny Paycheck job. I'm going back for you old folks. If you remember Johnny Paycheck, you can take this job and shove it. That's what a woman of Dr. Elmira Mangum's character said about Florida A&M in 2016. So if this is what, people have to deal with, and that brings me to my next question, Ken. Florida A&M has so much going for it. It's a beautiful campus.
Yeah, man.
It's one of the premier institutions in HBCU space. But is the job toxic?
Ooh, that's a great question. No, I'm not. I'm not. You know what? Despite everything that we've encountered up to this point with FAMU, I don't think it is. I don't. There's a part of me that thinks that now that this news has gone out, there are probably some folks who's like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely going for that. I'm definitely going for that job. There's probably an assistant VP or maybe a president at a smaller institution. I'm pretty certain there's somebody out there who's chomping at the bit and saying, give me that job right there. Because they've been there. You remember, I think it was, after the SWAC championship game, I came back, man, and I gave my report, my initial thoughts of FAMU. And you're right, man, it's a beautiful campus. I politics. There's even a part of me that thinks sometimes, damn, I wish Grambling had that. I wish Grambling had this. So yeah, man, props to them. So no, I don't think the job is toxic. I just think that there's probably somebody or a number of people who are probably thinking to themselves, I'm applying for that job because I can do that. I can do that. You know, now, granted, I'm guessing the board of trustees, they probably already have a short list of individuals who they'll probably encourage to apply. But no, I don't think the job is toxic. Do you? And as a matter of fact, for those of you in the chat, engage with us. Seriously, I would like to know, do any of you think this job is toxic?
We'd love to know
given everything that we know or everything that's happened right now with respect to, I mean, I don't want to say it's been one thing after another with FAMU, but it's just that they've been in the news a lot over the last 6 months. But do you think the job is toxic, Chris Stevens?
And again, I'm gonna say what you said. Like, I don't have higher institutional leadership experience. I literally, I was joking with Ken when we were talking about, you know, doctorates and a master's the other day. I said I stopped at a bachelor's degree because I knew I wasn't going to be able to afford another penny full of learning. The bachelor's degrees zapped me. So I don't have a doctorate. I don't have a master's. I have a bachelor's of I have a mass communications bachelor's from Delaware State University, which I proudly represent. But I don't know. I mean, there's just so much about this, you know, situation with the board and different things that just kind of rubs me the wrong way. If I were a presidential candidate, it's probably for the better that I'm not. But I do think that there's a lot that needs to be parceled out in terms of who's responsible for this, who's held accountable for that, and how this all can work together to keep Florida A&M advancing in the direction that they've been advancing under Dr. Robinson. Because there's no denying, once again, I mean, they've been the U.S. News World Report's top public HBCU 5 years running. And I don't know if that streak comes to an end this year, but I doubt it. So they have, I mean, the credentials are there. They're a great institution. They have the resources. They have the beautiful campus. They have so many different avenues that a student can pursue, whether they wanted to be in politics or medicine or education or communications or sports or what have you. So now that I'm more to think about it, I'm like, no, it's not a toxic job. It's a perfect job for somebody who is really willing to go in there, roll up their sleeves and, you know, put in the work. But I just feel like everything that's going on, because I've sat on these board of trustees meetings going back to when Dr. Robinson took accountability for Gregory Jeremy's shenanigans, and it just felt like I don't know if I could deal with this on a daily basis. But then again, you know, you have to have a certain temperament to do so. And because it doesn't seem like Dr. Robinson lost his cool one time. I'd have asked him, what's wrong with y'all? Seriously.
Yeah.
But then again, that's me. So I guess maybe it's not a toxic job, but at the same time, it's definitely going to take somebody who is unafraid. And you probably have to have what the recently deposed head of World Wrestling Entertainment, Vince McMahon, said. You got to have the grapefruits.
Yeah.
You got to have the grapefruits to take on a job like that. And if you're going to deal with opinions from people who probably barely finished or didn't finish at all.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you're going to have to listen to them. So yeah, it's still a top flight job, but there's just a lot that comes with that top flight job.
Yeah. Ellis Connor says it's not toxic, but there is a serious miscommunication at the top. You know what? To that point, which I agree, I would say this though, Chris. I don't believe the job is toxic, but I think it would also be fair to say that it could possibly, given what we've seen over these past few months, I think it's even realistic to say that there probably are some folks who may have had, you know, at some point who said, you know what, long term, wouldn't mind being president of FAMU, but after witnessing what we've witnessed up to this point, I'm out. You know, I don't know that to be true. I'm just simply saying it wouldn't surprise me, because you know, if you're gonna be a president of an institution such as this, as we all know, as is the case with all 4-year, and I'm not going to say HBCUs, but just 4-year institutions that are public. Being a president, part of being a president, you know, there is politics involved. We know that much. And I guess in this particular case with FAMU, I guess it becomes a matter of how political does the candidate want to get, you know. given what we've seen up to this point, is it something that they're worth? Is it something worth? Is it worth my time? Do I really want to deal with this BS? Granted, I understand that there are higher ups and people that I have to report to, but given what I witnessed up to this point, do I really want to take my cushy AVP or my VP job and deal with that mess? Nah, I think I'm good. I'm gonna stay. I'm just saying. There may very well be some people who say, you know what, I think I'm good. I'm away for the next opportunity.
And so Deep House Nation, who jokingly said he had $247 million for us. That would be nice, but whatever you can give, we really appreciate it. He said, I'm a fan of presidents who do not need the job and have access to deep pockets. You have to be willing to hurt egos and break eggs to make an omelet. And that to me is a very true statement, because you're not going to be able to please everybody, as I said before. So
and I think what he's saying is, those are the type of presidents, like he said, they have options. I don't have to be the president of FAMU, or I don't even have to be a president at all before your institution, because I've got other options that I can pursue. That's a great point, but there's still no denying the political aspect, pockets or not. I'm not saying that it doesn't have to have connections, but there's that role of politics that, whether it be the board of trustees or whether it be the governor or whatever the case may be, you've got to have somebody as a university president who knows how to leverage playing politics. I mean, that, it may, depending on who the person may be, it may be on the job training, but you got to be able to leverage that, man. Yeah. You do.
Yeah. And Jay Hope, I want to read his full comment because he had a lot to say while we were talking. He said that he resigned from his recent organization, had the active case due to racial discrimination and toxic work culture. Our people are toxic. The generational oppressive culture needs to be addressed. There's a division amongst each other. You have these high and mighty folks who look down on their own people and are poverty pimps. And if it's at the top and no one addressed it, it is a cult. And I left and became public enemy number one. And black faces mean nothing in an oppressive system that is controlled by the U.S. government.
You know what, Jay? I feel your pain and I understand you, but you know what? I think it's not just our people who are toxic. No, it isn't. I would just, I get it. That's coming from a place to where you appreciate our people for who they are, and you just want us to be able to do better. And I get it, but it ain't just our people who are toxic. As a matter of fact, I think one can make a case that there are other groups of folks who are probably more toxic than we are, historically speaking. So I'm just saying, I feel you. I get it. I understand. You may be disappointed in the heat of the moment. I get it, but I would just push back in saying that I don't think it's just our people who are toxic.
Yeah, I don't think it's just us either. But I will say, he makes a great point about the tradition of, older folks kind of sort of not wanting to get out of the way, so to speak. And because I look at that Florida A&M board, and no disrespect to anybody on that board, because those are some very successful people.
Right.
And I'm not throwing stones from a glass house by any stretch of the imagination, but the concerns of a black college student in 2024 might be a little different from those from a black college student in 1984. That's my take on it. And I mean, I'll never forget the young lady who was sitting in on the board of trustees meeting, who's the student representative. She was like, how do y'all plan to fix this? I mean, she asked flat out. She didn't dance around. She didn't, say we're going to strike again. She says, what are you going to do to change the public perception of Florida A&M? Because right now the public perception of Florida A&M is shot. That's what she said in so many words.
Yeah.
And for that young lady, to be able to be that clear-headed about it. I mean, it wasn't like, she was screaming and yelling and hollering. Like, she just literally said, what are you going to do to change the public perception of our institution that we love? I mean, the kids know. I mean, these kids are not stupid. I mean, they wouldn't be in college if they were. So, yeah. When you have the kids nervous about the direction of the institution, something had to change. And yes, I mean, I get that there are people who are lifers at their institutions that are proud of Florida A&M, of Howard, of Clark, Morehouse, Spelman, Delaware State, Morgan State, Tennessee State, Grambling, Texas Southern, Prairie View, on and on and on. But at the same time, you kind of have to sort of cede that power a little bit and let these kids who are a little, who are living it now. Because even my experience at Delaware State in 2004 is different than the Delaware State student in 2024.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, these kids don't have the same things to worry about as we do. If anything, they probably have more to worry about, quite honestly.
You know what this reminds me of now? Now, going back to the point that you made about the basketball coach, that the basketball coaching situation, the hire that was, and remember, Larry Robinson made it clear that he still had the ability to give that coach a 1-year contract. Do we know if that ever happened?
Oh my God!
And now that he's gone, or if he's resigning, what is his status now as head coach?
That is a great question.
We might need to look into that. What is the status of the men's basketball coach now that Larry? So is it effective immediately that he resigned? He's out, right?
No, in the release that Florida A&M said there was no set timetable, so it didn't say effective immediately. So
okay.
I guess maybe that'll be one of his last acts of business is to sign this 1-year contract.
Because I wonder any idea when their fiscal year? Because I mean, we're like, I know with schools is either like July or August when the new calendar. So they're already in the fiscal year for 24-25.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
So I imagine. So I imagine that's going to be one of his final acts is to try to get this contract firmed up, because as we reported, the Florida A&M Board of Trustees said they were going to review this at their retreat in August. Now, mind you, college basketball recruiting season for 24-25 is pretty much done. Right. Everybody who has their roster, and because the portal closed May 1st. So everybody who has their roster for 24-25 has their roster. There's no, I mean, there'll probably be kids that'll walk on and tryouts that are already students there, but you're not going to get a kid at this point, from another institution coming on campus. Right. And they'll be eligible for November, December games. Like they may be eligible for, January, February, once the grades for the fall semester are in. But as far as, starting the season, everybody has their roster for the most part in NCAA. I don't know if it's the same for NAIA, but I imagine it's not that much different. So if your coach is in limbo and but he's still announcing players. I mean, he just announced that Shaquille O'Neal's son Shakir as a transfer there from Texas Southern.
Yep.
So if Shaq is, confident in sending his son there, then I would think that would be good enough to give this man at least a 3 or 4 year deal where he can at least try to turn around a program that has not had a winning season since 2007.
Yeah. So we'll have to research that. I'm curious now where that guy is with respect to that coaching, that job. So look, Chris, we need to go ahead and wrap this up. This has been a live edition of HBCU Sports Live, HBCU Sports Podcast. Thank you guys for taking a few minutes to join us. Chris, thank you for providing on the fly analysis of this breaking news situation. And then, as always, we will continue to keep you updated on all the latest HBCU sports athletic news. Visit hbcusports.com. And for those of you who are still in limbo, by all means, go to hbcusportsawards.com, make a donation. We will, I can tell you now, we will be making, Chris was saying either Saturday or Sunday, and he was only going based upon the information I had given him at the time. We will be making the live announcement on Sunday. I don't know what time, but it will be on Sunday. We are for the most part finished with the nominees. And right now, the discussion is determining who will be the recipients of the Lifetime Achievement Awards, male and female. And can't tell you that yet, but we will make it known on Sunday. So, so that's kind of where we are right now. So look, thank you all for joining us. Chris, thank you, sir, for your for coming on and sharing the information with us. And
Yes,
we'll
sir.
see you guys next time. God bless you.